Chambers, don't get on that ship. The rest of the book, To Serve Men, it's a cookbook.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of the Friday Night Frenzy, where Wonder Bat's always canon, and the topics, they're more like a set of guidelines. So let's bring in our usual DK crew here. So first off, we have the mistress of ships herself, Nix. How you doing, girl?
Pretty good.
And then next off, we have the man who knows everything and everyone is afraid of him for it, Chris.
Oh, damn. Wow.
Yeah,
I'm a fig jam.
Yeah, you're surprised they actually complimented you instead of insulting you this time.
Wow. Yeah, that's a new one.
It's okay. And and we also got someone else kind of peeking out here. Hey, Black Reaper Kai. So I guess this is the first live appearance of my new buddy. Everybody, this is Whiskers. He's my new best friend, and he's very excited to be jumping around. What's wrong, Black Reaper Kai? Why are you crying? So yeah, how's everyone doing? What you guys been playing? Chris?
I haven't been playing anything. Yeah, I'm part of that study. You know, the one that said that majority of games are being played that are 6 years or older. Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, that's okay. Well, that's going to be added. That you have now added to the show, Chris.
Oh no.
Because that is certainly something in our wheelhouse we should talk about. So I guess let's just jump right into the headlines, shall we?
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
All right, so this is the part of the show I call Headline Hysteria, where we kind of go over like some of the topics of the week. It's something that we wouldn't dedicate a full episode to, but we still want to talk about. And let's just kind of jump right into the one that Chris was talking about, retro games. So Chris, also, hey Ruthie, how you doing? Nice of you to join us. Chris, can you kind of explain like what you meant by the study?
Yeah, there was a study that came out that showed, I can't remember where they queried the data from, but basically the majority of games, it was like over 80% or something, are games that are 6 years or older, and that are being played, and that the majority of games that have come out recently are not being played by anybody. Like, so basically, we're looking at a generation that has wholly rejected games that have been released.
I mean, yeah. I mean, like, what standout games other than Baldur's Gate 3 released this generation are really iconic? Like, Baldur's Gate 3 will go down as an iconic game.
Yeah. Larian deserves that, yeah.
But literally, like, Spider-Man 2018 was a great game. Spider-Man 2 landed with a bit of a thud.
Well, come on. They threw all that propaganda in there. It's like, yay, you come for the Spider-Man, you play as the deaf girl that graffitis on the wall.
Yeah, and I think, like, raising the prices of games shot themselves in the foot.
Yep. You see that Star Wars game that came out?
Yeah, and here's the thing here's the thing they can't argue against. It's like you're making the women look ugly, but the men are accurate.
Yep.
Like, you can't argue against that.
Yeah.
Like, it's a smoking gun. Why does Cal Kestis, like, and I actually think Cal Kestis looks better than his model.
Yeah.
Like, the actor's not a bad looking dude, but his model, like, that is Vogue worthy right there.
Well, that, and it helps, because if they ever do like a streaming service or a series or whatever based on these characters, they have an accurate portrayal of them in their game products already. You know, but when you uglify them, nobody wants.
I would really love Cameron Monaghan. Like, if they actually like had Cameron Monaghan show up in a Star Wars thing, it might make me care.
Yeah, but unfortunately, nobody wants to play as Uggo McUggo. You know, like, yeah. And unfortunately, like they were showing, like, they have receipts. The Twitter outrage mob was literally posting photos of the actress. You know, and it's like Kelly Marie Tran all over again, where you have this gorgeous woman and then they put her in like this derpy potato costume and then give her a humiliating haircut, and they're like, "Get out there!" And it's like, why do you hate this woman so much?
Yeah, like it's like when people saw her at the red carpet when
like who the hell is
her fun
this?
bags were all on display. They're like, oh, ship mode engaged, ship mode engaged.
Yeah, it's like, who the hell is this? It's like, this is Rose Tico, and people are like, no, Rose Tico is a potato.
Yeah,
Kind
I
of
mean, it didn't help. Yeah, it didn't help. Sorry, Nick, go ahead.
Sorry. I was saying it's kind of sad that the cutest female characters right now are coming from like either Nintendo games or like Korean developers that are kind of just jumping
look at
out.
Stellar Blade, the demo numbers. Like this is a really big, really telling metric. Stellar Blade had more players playing the demo than Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and Rebirth actually has good-looking female characters.
Yeah,
like that. Like from what I understand, Stellar Blade mechanically is okay. It's from what I've been hearing.
Yeah, I watched one of my friends is a streamer, and I watched him play the demo multiple times because there's like a cool little boss rush thing at the end. Yeah, great. So Eve, the main character, she's sexy and all this stuff, but like the game's actually pretty fun. Like it's kind of like Dark Souls meets like Devil May Cry meets God, I can't think of it. Like
that actually hit. Like I think we're starting to see the rise of like Japanese developers who are not part of like the big ones who understand gaming, like Pal World and Stellar Blade. I feel like are part of a new movement that we're starting to see here.
Yeah, I think Asia's immune to the Western Marxist stuff, because like they've been under attack. Well, they've been under attack. Like, oh, your betrayal of Eve is like made by looks like a sex doll that it's by a person that's never seen a woman before, and it's like meanwhile you look over at the art team and it's like majority women, and then they do the this sexy character is going to make women off themselves or whatever, and it's like. No.
or the best part is, it's like, oh, Stellar Blade, that woman, her body proportions are unrealistic. Then they release the footage of the model getting skinned in, and it's like pretty much 1-1. Which, by the way, can I just say, that woman looks amazing. Like her diet and exercise routine. That woman has put a lot of work into that body, and she deserves all the recognition.
And she's in her 30s, by the way.
Holy crap, 30s?
Yeah, do we Asians don't age like. We basically, I can't say for men because we age.
Well, black may not crack, but Asians don't age.
Yeah, well, Asian women, they look like they're in their 20s until they're about 50, and then there's a period like in between, like I'd say, like when they're 50, they look like they're in their 30s, and then at about 60, they turn into like Yoda. So there's this like weird like it's just they just extend a lot longer than the rest of us in terms of like. You keep maintaining that youthful appearance. Yeah. I know it is. It's well, not only that, but Asian women don't get cellulite. So it's like, how the hell? Man,
it's crazy. But yeah, I like. But that's the other thing. Like, I think there's kind of like there's at least a topic about it. Like, if you look at like media from the 80s or the 70s, like there's people like. You look at like 36-year-olds in like I'm 36, and if you look at a 36-year-old in the 70s TV show, they look like they're 60 now.
Yeah,
people on general are looking younger.
Yeah,
I mean, I think it might. Well, in that case, I'm just gonna pile on the frozen dinners.
Eat a Twinkie, look younger.
That's a new diet, the Twinkie diet.
Yeah.
Oh, congratulations, KK.
Yep.
Yeah. So, all right. So the next one, I just kind of want to breeze past here because it's not normally what we cover, but it's kind of a big enough event. So O.J. Simpson has passed, and like I said,
we're on the killer now.
Yeah. Ruthie, you do not look 40. I'm just saying that right now.
Welcome to the club.
Ruthie, you look like, honestly, I thought you were in your 20s. So,
lordy.
In all seriousness, though, I've been seeing a lot of communities on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it. I'm still calling it Twitter. Who cares? But I've been seeing a lot of people making his He's passing more about the victim, Nicole.
I mean, fair. You know,
Because
Well, he did get away with it. I mean,
he literally wrote a book. If I did
it. Yeah, and that was a Dave Chappelle joke that became a reality.
Like, oh my god.
Yeah, it's so for me, like the thing that made me sick was there was that CNN anchor woman who was basically explaining how, like, well, first they interviewed the jurors, and they said that the only reason why they voted him not guilty is because he was black, and it was they had the fresh in their mind about the Rodney King thing.
I mean,
and they're like, yeah,
fair,
it's tainted our bias.
I mean, I think as much as we don't want to do, look, racial component was a big part of
it. Was the only component.
I mean, like, you got to realize the Times, when they posted his mugshot, they literally darkened his face to make him scarier. So, like, there was an undeniable racial component to this.
Yeah, I for me, like, it's so frustrating that, like, I believe, like, Chris Rock made a great stand-up or skit about it, where he's talking about, like, you know, he's like, white people are too angry and black people are way too happy. He's like, I didn't, you know, I've gotten checked my mail this morning. Where's my OJ prize? You know, like he basically, we got this murderer off, and, you know, got him off the hook, and, like, we didn't get anything from this, you know.
OJ, I'm sure OJ sent him a gallon of orange juice in the mail.
Yeah.
He let loose the juice. Okay. Yeah. I think I don't want to talk about this too long. We've made enough made enough of it. So we got one more mini topic, and yeah. So X-Men 97. Now, for the most part, I liked the episode, but my money's on Black Reaper Kai. That guy's vicious, and also I've seen him in person. The boy is built. The boy is built like a brick crap house. He could take OJ easily.
Well, considering OJ's dead, yeah, that's going to be an interesting fight.
Right now.
Yes, savage. But yeah, so Chris, explain, like, the issue people are having with X-Cut 97.
Yeah, they did Gambit dirty, man. So, like, the episode basically has Rogue, like, playing typical, like, young adult author, or, you know, the story, like, every young adult story is basically female protagonist has her choice of two men. Like, that's basically what they did with this episode. And they had Rogue, who, like, went, you know, they had this big diplomatic thing about, like, how Genosha was joining the United Nations, and there's a big gala and all this stuff, and I was like, oh, I see they're putting their prom in here already. So they got this big celebration.
They couldn't help themselves. They couldn't. They even brought in the Hellfire Club. They even brought in Emma Frost and the other guy.
Yeah, and then, like, the whole time they're, like, cucking out Gambit. Like, I felt it was almost like a mercy killing, because, like, the whole time, this is like a badass. Like, if you watch the cartoon, and again, ignore the comics, blah blah blah, whatever. We all know, like, you know, anybody that's read the comics, they already have a million insights into this. But if you expressly look at this as a cartoon show viewer, which is what the majority of people who watch this were, you know, the cartoon viewers, they're like, what the hell happened to Gambit? Why is he so, like, castrated? And then he gets, like, pushed aside, and Rogue ends up, like, choosing but not choosing Magneto. And because apparently he now has this ability to magnetically repel all of her mutant powers, which completely debunks that whole X-Men movie. But, like, so he can touch her.
To be fair, that was in the comics.
Yep. Well, again, it just shows the contradictions between when they make the movie and, you know, whatever. But if you're watching the cartoon, you just see Gambit just keep constantly getting pushed aside and being cucked out, and then he finally has his moment and they kill him off. So Gambit's dead in the cartoon. He's gone.
I mean, Gambit's one of his powers literally is sexiness.
Yeah. I'll
like, he has like, literally one of his superpowers. He has super powered charisma. Literally, one of his powers is being super sexy.
He's a Cajun man. He's gotta be sexy. You heard the accent. The man can cook too.
Yep.
And he's got abs for days. I'm sorry. Women love abs.
But
No, a man who can cook, that's hot.
And a man who can cook good Cajun food, by the way.
Yeah, even hotter.
But they did him so dirty, and it was like, that's a terrible send-off for a great character. Because like Gambit, like again, not from the comics, but from the cartoon show, Gambit was a huge fan favorite. Like I remember talking to people like,
Men
that
and
guy's
women.
my favorite. Like, yeah, I want to go as him as Halloween, you know.
Men and women.
Yeah, yeah.
I actually think the Taylor Kitsch depiction in Origins Wolverine is not the worst thing ever, honestly.
Mm.
Also, Dave's kind of bringing in a little bit of a nuance.
Yeah, he did.
But here's the thing: Rogue rejected him at the last moment after Gambit had already left. So it was kind of, you know, it's like, yeah, but as far as Gambit's mind, Rogue had already rejected him even when he died.
Yep. Yeah,
it's one of those writing. It's one of those like, oh, the tragic irony. Rogue had chose him, but he didn't know he left beforehand. Like you said, that's YA bullcrap right there.
Yeah. Well, did they kill Magneto too? Because when like they showed that,
they did.
Yeah, because Leech was like
honestly,
holding on to
confusing.
him.
Like I thought they killed Nightcrawler there for a moment. Like I just want to say that scene, while kind of cool, was very poorly edited.
I agree.
It was very confusing.
Very confusing.
And I think Gambit might have survived because they showed him rescuing the Morlocks after his big moment.
I think so, but you mean
like,
Magneto survived?
No, Gambit. I think it was Gambit. Gambit that rescued them. I don't know. I need to rewatch.
I thought because he charged, like he got impaled, so he got like a mortal blow, and then he used that impalement as a charge to blow up the Master Mold.
Yeah, I just thought like they were about like, because they're doing the Mutant Massacre and they had the Morlocks. And it looked like they were setting up the Morlocks for the Mutant Massacre, but somebody saved them. I thought it was Gambit. It was somebody else. But like, I mean, this just goes to show how poorly edited that sequence was. It's so confusing. You don't know what's going on. It was very poorly done, honestly.
Yep, it really was. It was confusing.
Can I just say the only clips I've ever seen of it have to do with Cyclops? That's only because I like the voice actor.
Also, you notice how hard they're sidelighting Wolverine in the series? Like, Wolverine has done nothing in the series other than reject Jean Grey like more than once.
Oh yeah, she kissed him, and he's like, this is between you and Scott.
You going thought?
I mean, you'd think you would, like, let's be honest. The real Jean Grey, Scott's not really in love with her. He's in love with Madeline Pryor because he's the one who actually got the child with. Yeah.
Yep.
And it's like there's this other Jean. Like there's two of them now. You guys can share. It's like I don't know. And they're doing like the whole like the psychic affair thing, which was between Scott and Emma.
Yeah.
Scott and Nadine. It's like, what are you doing?
I like how Emma Frost caught that one. That was funny. Because like. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So when they were at their meeting there for the joining into the United Nations, Madeline Pryor is basically in her own little like psychic bubble or whatever with Scott, and they're doing basically cheating on Jean Grey. And then Jean Grey catches them, and it like bursts her out of it, and she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I was somewhere else for a moment," And then it just pans over to Emma Frost, and she's like, "Indeed."
I mean,
she knew exactly what was happening.
You got to realize Emma Frost is probably the most powerful telepath in the world. Yep. She was only second only to Charles, but now that Charles is dead, she's probably the most powerful telepath.
Yeah, she was probably watching the whole thing.
I was gonna say though, I think Scott and Jean's relationship was at its most stable in X-Men Evolution, which really says something with the teenage.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. They were really off and on in X-Men Evolution. And Jean was cheating on him. Like Jean was like going out with other guys specifically to make him jealous. Also, in X-Men Evolution, Scott belongs with Rogue. I'm sorry, that is not a hot take. That is fact.
I liked the Rogue in X-Men Evolution. I thought that was a good.
My powers, yeah. Like, I'm sorry, goth, a goth redhead with a southern accent. Sign me up.
Yeah, I think that in '97, the voice actor, I know she's the original voice of Rogue, but it just sounds like Granny Gummy. Like, like
Yeah,
it doesn't sound like the the one that we remember from the original.
it has a big
Yeah.
how do you do, fellow kids kind of energy to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just gonna say I'm really
Also,
a fan.
Dave, that's a bit of a fair thing, but like how they treated him still isn't right.
Yeah.
Really. I'm a little upset though that they got rid of some of the old cast just so that they could be like, oh, but this person's actually the same race as the character.
Yeah, what does
But,
that
like,
mean? Like,
Oh,
who cares? We're not seeing them on screen.
oh, by the way, did you hear who they casted for Toph and Avatar?
Yeah, I
Uh-oh.
like the voice actress, but she's been retired for years now.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, like she was a voice actress. She's a blind woman who voiced Kimmy in Rugrats.
Trixie Tang in Fairly Odd Parents. They retired her character because she stopped voice acting.
She's literally coming out of retirement for this role. Like, why? Like, first off, she is way too old to be playing Toph. First and
Yeah,
foremost.
a child, yeah.
way
Well,
too old.
Why is this race voiceover thing only an issue when the voiceover character is or voiceover actor is white? Because like Phil Lamar is a master voice actor. He's black. He played Samurai Jack, who's Japanese. You have Christopher Judge, who plays Kratos, a Greek Spartan, not black. You know, like it doesn't matter. Yeah, boy.
But yeah,
I don't see the relevance to whether or not the
I
voice
actually
actor
remember like some black voice actor saying John DiMaggio is like the only white voice actor that they feel comfortable voicing black characters. I don't know. I don't know how that applies to what we're talking about. It just feels tangibly related, and I wanted to bring it up.
But didn't Phil Lamar say he doesn't like being a part of this conversation? It's like, too bad, dude. You are a part of this conversation.
Yeah.
You are
yeah,
literally proof that this concept is absolute bullshit.
Exactly.
You've made
Exactly.
your.
Also, Dave, I actually agree with you. I just I like to have everyone have a voice on this. Like Chris obviously has his opinions. I don't necessarily agree with him, but he has a right to his opinion. I'm more in line with you, Dave. But Chris, you have just as much your opinion as everyone else.
Yeah, I just think they cucked out an awesome character and then just took him out. And it's like, but that's how it was in the comics. And it's like, I don't care.
Avatar
I'm watching the cartoon.
So for the new Avatar movie, only Dante Bosco is returning to voice Zuko.
Yeah,
I get Aang not returning because a kid voice to adult voice might not be the same. But like, why can't Mae Whitman voice Katara? Why can't the actor for Sokka voice Sokka? Like, I get that they're not Southern Water Tribe. You know, that's the other thing. That's the other thing. Like, I know that we like to prescribe races to like the Avatar stuff, but Zuko is not Chinese. Zuko is Fire Nation.
Yep.
Like Katara is not Inuit. Katara is Southern Water Tribe.
Yeah.
It's like Starfire's not black. She's Tamaradian.
Yeah.
Orange.
I actually do like the Avatar that they based all of the different like whatever you want to call them on in Avatar on like different Asian communities.
I do too. In fact, the bending actually is based off of different styles. Like I think airbending is based off of Tai Chi.
Nation, that's what I was going for.
And I like it, but I feel like the fan base has kind of like taken that and ran with it and like, only Chinese people can play Earthbenders. Only Chinese people. You know?
Wait a minute, but then that would mean that the M. Night Shyamalan movie committed a grave sin because they had Indian people playing the very Japanese-inspired firebenders.
Nani?
But nobody cares because darker skin than the Japanese.
Yeah, well, I mean, my only thing was I just found it weird that you had a white guy named Aang, or I'm sorry, as they mispronounced it. Yeah.
Well, that's just prime.
Yeah. Like honestly, like I understand like when it comes to like live actors to get ethnic appropriateness, like
yeah. Well, obviously,
yeah, but like in a voice actor, like you don't see these people. Like it actually it surprised me. Like that's the animated series that came out, Invincible on Amazon. They're like, oh my god, they got Steven Yeun in there, blah blah blah. I'm like, yeah, like he's Asian, like isn't that? And they're like, oh, he's half white or whatever. And I'm like, he's half Viltrumite.
Oh, it's actually kind of biting a lot of minority actors in the butt, because I don't know if you heard the one YouTube guy who does like the shorts, the one Asian guy. Apparently, like he was a big proponent of like the right race to play the role, and then 6 months later he's complaining, all my voice acting roles are dried up. All the roles I get are for Asian. I can voice white people. I can totally voice like, and I'm sure he can,
emotional damage.
Well, not him, but like another guy.
Other guy. I think something or other.
What?
I'm trying to think. I know the guy. I used to follow him on Twitter, and I watched a lot of his skits, but then I unfollowed him when he started going off the deep end. I'm trying to think of his name.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, well, no shit, dude. Or no crap, dude. What did you think was gonna happen?
Yeah, it's like congratulations, Stephen He, I believe is what he's saying. I think I'm not sure. But yeah, can't remember exactly. Oh, Pro ZD. That's who it was. Pro ZD. I'm pulling something. Basically, I'm pulling up what it.
Oh, this guy! This is the guy that did Goofy that sang.
Doomed Commander Fistfight. I've poisoned the water supply.
Actually, because you poisoned the water supply, we discovered that the city's pipe infrastructure is really severely outdated. So,
like, he's actually a good voice actor. Like, to be really honest, he's got a good voice.
Dude, his Bring Me to Life as Goofy had me in stitches.
Oh my god! Have you seen the other ones where it's like, you're not take the shot, Mickey?
Yeah,
yeah. And his skits are actually funny. Like his skits are legit funny. They kind of remind me of like late 2000s, early 2010s skit YouTube. Like it's kind of a thing you had to be there for.
He has talent, but he wastes it being a complete twit.
Yeah.
The less we say about Young, the better.
Oh, what? You didn't like his representation in, what was it, the Yakuza series, the Yakuza game?
I don't hate his voice acting, honestly. I just don't think he's right for Tyrion.
Dude, people are using his voice as AI on YouTube Shorts now.
Oh my god! Like, I followed him when he was still in his news days. But he just kind of got into the same rut of all the other video game people, where they just kind of repeated the same stuff, didn't really add anything to it. It's like, I don't know, I'm not really interested in those people. But yeah, he got so far up his butt. So yeah, let's kind of go off of this area and let's go into a certain zone. All right, so we are going to be.
Show up?
I actually did not grab that clip, so we are gathered. So we are gathered here to talk about probably one of my favorite shows, something that's very influential to me, the Twilight Zone. So, Nix, what is your familiarity with the Twilight Zone?
My what?
Like what? Like what's your relationship with the show?
Watched it a bit when I was younger. Got into it a bit more when I was like a teen. And the last I've heard of it was when I watched the Channel Awesome's little mini reviews of each episode.
Never heard of those.
They're pretty good. They go into like a lot of different behind the scenes things. Like, for instance, did you know that the set they used on the very first episode of the Twilight Zone is actually a reused set from Back to the Future?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a standing set. It's a standing set in Universal. It's probably been used in a lot of stuff. That's actually it's a standing set. By the way, I think the episode you're talking about is Where Is Everybody, which is a really crazy episode. So here's season 2 on DVD. I've had this for a while.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's a beefy boy.
Yeah, like this is from a certain era of like you can kind of tell TV DVDs by their packaging because like they went through certain trends. So this is from this era. But yeah, so Twilight Zone I say is probably a very influential work on me. I consider Rod Serling to be my writing idol. I've watched Twilight Zone since I was a kid. I watched a lot of the old episodes. Do you remember how, like, for the 4th of July and for New Year's, Sci-Fi used to have a Twilight Zone marathon every year?
No.
Yeah, they used to do that. I used to watch a lot of them. And the show itself is actually, I get that.
Night Gallery. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that
The
was
Outer Limits.
Oh, there's a lot of those. Actually, I think I have. Yep. I have Outer Limits on DVD.
Nice.
I was looking over my shelf, but the show is actually a lot more influential than you realize. Let me demonstrate. Okay, so Twilight Zone aired from like 59 to like 65 or something. Okay, and let me show you an episode from The Howling Man. By the way, and just kind of pay close attention.
Would somebody take a lamp or a bottle or something and end it?
That's not the right one. Yeah, I need to.
That was some footage at Ubisoft.
Yeah. So yeah, I mislabeled. Crap. Waiting for it. And then Nick's Chan is that a Leaf?
That is Canadian Leaf.
Yeah.
I only seen like a few episodes of The Outer Limits. Dang it, I gotta delete this. But
well, they had they had 2 reboots of the Twilight Zone, didn't they?
3 technically, actually.
Oh. Yeah, I remember the one in the 80s, and then I remember the Jordan. Was it the Peel? No, yeah.
And there's one in the 2000s, which, by the way, when he came in, yeah, remember when you came in, I had that clip going.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyway, screw it. I'll just bring it up on YouTube.
The series just won't die.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't watch the Jordan Peele one because as soon as they like an episode inspired by the rise of Donald Trump, I was like, nope, no, I'm like uninspired bullshit. Like, yeah,
that and you got to make everything about race. It's like, yeah, I'm out.
Which, the 2002, the Forrest Whitaker one, like they did have some good episodes on race and prejudice, actually. Okay. So this is from the episode The Howling Man. So watch this. Okay, so you see how like that transformation behind the pillars?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to play a clip from the movie X2. X2.
This time enough at last.
Okay, sorry. But can you see the direct reference?
Oh yeah, it's definitely a homage.
So yeah, So that X2 came out in 2002. Literally 50 years later, it still was influenced the cinema. By the way, I wanted to flex a little bit. So the actor who played the devil in the Twilight Zone, I actually got to meet him at a con like 10 years ago. Such a nice man. He was so gracious. I asked him about Rod Serling. It's probably like one of the greatest moments of my life that I actually got to meet someone from the Twilight Zone. Because that's the thing about the Twilight. Sorry, you're gonna go ahead, Nix.
I was gonna say, I actually know how they did the effect too, where he's changing.
Okay.
Apparently, what they did was he had the makeup on the whole time, but they were changing the lighting. And that made the makeup become more and more pronounced as the scene went on, which you kind of thing I guess that you can only really do in black and white.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that there was a woman, I can't remember what she was like, turning into a witch or something, and they like shown a red light and then a green light.
Yeah, and I think like that they kind of like that's what led to the American Werewolf of the like it's kind of an evolution of the only one that makes sense. Yeah, everyone has their favorite Twilight Zone episode. My favorite is Eye of the Beholder.
Is it the one where everybody's ugly?
Except for the woman, which, by the way, the lady in that is from Beverly Hillbillies. So,
yeah.
See, the thing about this show is there's a lot of actors that we recognize. Like, for example, and the Twilight Zone, I think, is legitimately still horrifying. Let me kind of play this clip.
Would somebody take a lamp or a bottle or something and end this?
You're a bad man. You're a very bad man. And you keep thinking bad thoughts about me.
Yeah,
like that's legitimately unsettling even to this day. Like even though like we know we know exactly, like we could do that effect, like us, like we could literally do that effect right now. We could really, because it's just like the camera cutting, like, but it's implied. A lot of it's implied, and it's great. But also, did you notice who that actor was?
Billy Mumy.
Yeah, Bill Mumy from Danger, Will Robinson, Babylon 5. Like The Simpsons.
They lampooned almost every episode of the Twilight Zone.
It's like that Twilighty thing about that zone. They like Nightmare on 20,000 Feet with William Shatner is in that episode, which I think is actually 2 episodes of that. But
he did 2 episodes, I think, of the Twilight Zone. Another one, the fortune teller thing.
Yeah. So Twilight Zone has been revived a couple of times. They did the 80s version, the 2000s, and then Jordan Peele did like a crappy reboot in the 2010s. I'm actually really familiar with the 2000s reboot, and they remade a couple episodes, and they actually did a sequel, like Dave is saying, called "It's Still a Good Life," where it's set, where basically it's set 30 years later. They brought back Bill Mumy, they brought back Loris Leachman, and it's like him as an adult. And it's a really great episode because he has a daughter and she has the powers. Like it's really it's a really good episode. And I really like the 2002 Twilight Zone because they have original episodes. Probably my favorite original episode they did is the one where they had Katherine Heigl from Grey's Anatomy before that, where she did a one-way trip back to 1910, where her assignment was to kill a certain German painter as a baby.
A failed painter.
Failed painter, yes.
That's what happens. You do not fulfill our artistic freedom.
The moral quandary is, can you kill a baby, an innocent baby, and you know the atrocities they're going to commit? And the episode kind of like relies on the predestination form of time travel, where she kills herself with the child, but one of the other servants basically sees this and buys a Jewish homeless kid and presents it as a baby. That's a whole nother layer of context to the whole thing. Like,
yeah,
it's a great twist. Like, it is a classic Twilight Zone twist. Like, I think that is a great episode. But they remake episodes. Like, for example, The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street, which is a great episode about, like, prejudice and whatnot. So the original is based on, the original is based upon, like supposed aliens are doing an experiment about an invasion. But you got to realize, so Twilight Zone came out in 2002, and they basically made it they basically put it in a 9/11 context, which I feel like a lot of post 9/11 stuff is kind of cringy today, but this one actually is really interesting because it's basically an experiment run by the military to see how long a neighborhood would descend into anarchy after basically an EMP knocks out their power, which it's a bit dated because of 9/11 stuff, but it's actually like still relevant today. I don't know. And here's basically my thesis about the Twilight Zone is, yes, the show is literally 50 years old, okay? But it touches upon such universal themes that it's still relevant today. Like, you watch Twilight Zone episodes that were made before your parents were born, which, by the way, my dad was born in 1960. So there are episodes that were literally made before my dad was born, you know? And
I'm going to stay quiet on this one.
Wait, really? Ooh, that's The Obsolete Man. I haven't seen. Oh my god, I need to do like a full rewatch of the Twilight Zone. It's like there's so many good episodes that I missed. But yeah. So, Chris, what are some of your favorites?
I don't think I have a specific favorite, because I watched them as a kid, and it's funny because they're like labeled as horror, and they never scared me. Like, they were never scary so much as they were kind of interesting. And really, the specific one, it was just kind of like this week's episode, you know, like the Eye of the Beholder one. I didn't know it was called that. I just remember it was the pretty woman who was basically labeled as ugly because she lived in a world of ugliness.
That's Eye of the Beholder, which all right. I'm gonna go. What I love about to serve.
Yeah, To Serve Man. That's the one. Yeah.
Mr. Chambers, don't get on that ship. The rest of the book, To Serve Man, it's a cookbook.
So, by the way, I don't know if you know, that big alien from the episode is Jaws from the Bond films.
Nice.
Yeah, and then there's another like classic one, which every bookworm with glasses, when they see this episode, they get scared.
Alas, time enough at last. It's not fair. That's not fair at all.
By the way, that's the guy. He would later go on to train Rocky Balboa.
Yep, you're a bum.
Also, he would go on to be the Penguin.
Oh yeah, Burgess Meredith.
Yep, Burgess Meredith is just a legendary classic actor, honestly.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, the thing I like about the Twilight Zone is the episode is based around a single twist. Okay, it's based around the twist at the end. All right, and the whole episode, you know something's up. You know something's wrong the way they're playing it. You know something is coming. But oh yeah, he did a lot of other roles too. But like, and you see it coming, and it still like shocks you. Another one I really like is One for the Angels, where they actually had Ed Wynn, and he wants like one more good pitch, and apparently there's a sick girl who Death is about to come take him, but Ed Wynn does a pitch to Death to basically stall him so that the girl isn't taken. And so, but it turns out he was like, it's actually him instead he was after, but he used his pitch to save the girl. It's like, it's just kind of one of those like heroic sacrifice, but like a pitch. It's just like, it's an episode only the Twilight Zone could do. And I just love it.
Yeah, I love like the horror anthology stuff. You know, like I had mentioned, the Outer Limits, you know, Tales from the Crypt, Tales from the Dark Side. Like,
I would say the closest modern equivalent to the Twilight Zone is Black Mirror. I think Black Mirror is the closest equivalent.
Yeah,
Black Mirror's kind of gone off as rocker, but like
yeah, it has.
I'd say I just think it's like the closest equivalent we got.
Yeah. I like the idea of bite-sized little episodes that give you a fully contained story instead of the serial where you have to, binge the like 8 episodes just to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, and I think that's why Twilight Zone persisted, because it's a perfect show for syndication. Because it doesn't matter which episode you're watching; they're all self-contained. You can watch them in any order you want, really, and it's a perfect show for syndication.
Yeah, that's true. Any order, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's why Twilight Zone's persisted, because it's a great show for syndication.
All we could do, if we've been successful.
She's hideous.
By the way, this effect, they filmed it through a fishbowl, by the way. Plays on your expectations. I love it. This is what Rian Johnson wishes he could do. This is subverting your expectations, but in like the actual way.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, that woman, she is the sister from Beverly Hillbillies.
Nice.
Never heard of those.
Creep Show, yeah.
Yeah, I never watched the Outer Limits reboot. There's so much stuff I need to catch up on. I think the only Outer Limits episode that I remember is the one with like the bees, like the woman, she was like the queen bee or whatever. The thing about the Outer Limits was, so Twilight Zone was a half an hour, okay, and Outer Limits was an hour, and I think like the Outer Limits, they created stories that were allowed to kind of like simmer more, because it was an hour. The story is allowed to simmer more or whatever, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, stew in its juices.
I don't know why you're saying it that way, but yeah.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Streaming did too, by the way.
You would think you think streaming, like, well, the thing is, the reason why it's hard to do anthologies and streaming is because streaming, you're used to binging. For example, with Black Mirror, the creator says you're not supposed to binge Black Mirror. Like, each episode is supposed to be like a car wreck. So like, you're not supposed to watch it one after the other. And I think that's why Black Mirror kind of survives.
Well, it's more expensive too, because if you like with a streaming service, you have a production studio that has like the cast, the players, essentially the actors, and you have the sets and all that stuff. You buy it once essentially, and you run it for the entirety of the series. Whereas with a anthology series, you're literally breaking down and hiring new production crews every time. Like,
or even if you have the same production crew, different. Like I know some anthology shows like they use like the same actors, like American Horror Story.
Yeah,
that's
a good one.
But it's an anthology, but they at least each season is its own show, so that kind of helps things a little bit. But they do use the same actors.
For the whole season. Yep.
Or like in like different characters each season. They have them replay like Evan Peters or or whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah, the quality for sure.
Yeah. That is a very good point, Hardcore Bunny.
like you notice how we're all gushing about like 2000s, 80s original, and every time we mention the streaming version of Twilight Zone, we're like, don't watch it.
Yeah. Well, that, and I don't think we have a lot of good horror writers anymore, because we have a lot of good gore and slasher fic writers, but that doesn't equate to horror.
I would argue the reason is horror is basically kind of like the indie scene modern day. Like, there's a lot of good horror stuff, but horror writers don't necessarily break out the horror scene as much as they do anymore, because horror is kind of like more of a it's our modern day B films. Because like, if you look at the horror scene, there's a lot of interesting stuff going on in the horror scene, like interesting stories, interesting ideas, but none of it really breaks through. You know what I'm saying? Like I think one of the things that helped the 80s was horror. Like horror really helped drive the innovation.
Nightmare
of
on
the
Elm
80s.
Street. Whew.
Like all the practical effects that were going on in the 80s was horror films. Alien, American Werewolf in London, Halloween. And it's like all the big budget films of the 90s, 2000s, like all the CG would filter down into lower budget movies. We don't really have that anymore, you know?
Yeah.
Like the tech is not really trickling down as much as it used to.
Well, that and a lot of these anthology series are very cerebral, and that's not good for business these days. People want the marketing people, the bean counters that are running these productions. They don't want people to think. They want to be told. They want to tell people how to think.
Or
propaganda.
Or at the very least, they look at films like American Beauty, where it's one of those things like, oh, it's so smart. Look, he's cutting a rose. Oh, look, he did a film about a trash. Because it's pseudo intellectual. Like there's kind of the rise of pseudo intellectual where it's like for example, a lot of people who watch Black Mirror, like, oh, I'm so smart. I get all the references to Black Mirror. Like, yeah, I enjoy Black Mirror, but try and watch Twilight Zone, like classic Twilight Zone, and really dissect it. Like people have written master's theses on single episodes of the Twilight Zone.
Oh yeah. Well, that's where like I had a good appreciation for like in the late 80s or the mid 80s to through the 90s for Stephen King, because his stories, you know, even though they were all interconnected, they weren't, you know, from a superficial perspective. You're like, oh, Christine, the haunted car, Pet Cemetery, they come back, you know, like, oh, they're actually like, he has a whole cinematic or literary universe. They are all part of the whole Dark Tower and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But like just taking them at face value, though, they were interesting enough to be like, oh, I'm going to think about this afterwards. Like how many kids after they saw Tim Curry as It were thinking about ways of like, how do you defeat this thing? Like, you know, it keeps coming back. Like it's a monster that preys on fear. Would you like not be afraid? Like, how do you force yourself to not be afraid in a situation like that?
And that ties into the moral lessons, because that's the thing about Twilight Zone. They were morality tales. I feel like Twilight Zone is a modern day Aesop's Fables. Like it is our modern day Grimm's fairy tales. It is a modern day Aesop's Fables. Where if you look at it's basic like a lot like storytelling is communication of ideas for prose. Okay, like for example in Japan they had like the Kappa river monster is like, oh, if you play too close to the river, the Kappa monster is going to get there. You know what the purpose of that story is? Kids, stay away from the freaking river.
Yep.
You know, or like the Irish band, the Banshee in Ireland. That's so a man can fuck his wife and she can be as loud as possible, and the kid will stay in his bed because he thinks a banshee's there. Like, come on. Wait, you never realized that? You never realized that?
Oh my god.
You never realized that?
Oh my god. You know, the Banshee is based off of the Tua de Te or the Tua de Danu. You know,
but come on. You don't tell a wife's gonna tell her son like, oh, I've heard some banshees.
Stay in your bathroom at night.
if you hear the wailing of a woman and she's saying, "Oh God," and if she says, "Oh God, Colin, oh God, Colin," stay in your bed. Well, you know, like, come on.
Yeah, I can agree with that to a degree, hardcore, but there are some
parents have been telling children scary stories to keep them in line since the dawn of time. Do you really think a tale like that is too out of line?
You know, it's funny because like my parents messed with me by just telling me the truth. And it was like you know how like most kids aren't afraid of strangers? They're like, okay, I'll go with the man in the van. I was terrified of strangers. I'm like, get the hell away from me. Because like my parents were like, yeah, my parents were like, yeah, like you hear about that guy who like grabbed the kid and brought him in the van and then did stuff to him and chewed him up and buried him in the backyard. I'm like, ah!
Man, Bunny, that is hardcore.
I will say.
Sorry, Bunny. Sorry, the joke was there.
I will say, if you want good horror, don't look to movies at all.
Yeah.
You go to video games. You especially go to Japanese video games because the Chilla's art, especially, they take this weird delight in the normal, the
Oh my
everyday.
god, I was actually watching a YouTube video where someone was breaking down like a Japanese mockumentary about this family where like the wife had killed her husband and like this new guy was coming in and like she was starting to poison him, but then she brought back the older daughter because she was like prostituting herself, and so the older kids decided, all right, we like this guy, so we're gonna injure the mother. Nix, I don't know if this is ringing any bells for you, but like there's certain shots where like the mother is like the kid gets thrown off a roof and you can see the mother on the balcony in like a quick shot. Like it's insane.
But like stuff like Chilla's art and there's a couple others I can't really remember, but games like that, they have this weird way of adding a bit of supernatural to the mundane, even if it's not actually there and it's all just in the character set. I think some of my favorite ones of theirs actually have nothing to do with the supernatural. They're just like stalker stories.
Well, I mean, people are making horror stories out of the mundane for like since the dawn of time, and it continued to this day. Because like, look at stuff like the SCP Foundation or creepypastas. Like my favorite SCP story is the IKEA, like the monstrous IKEA story. Like, have you seen that one?
Yeah, it makes me a little nervous to go into an IKEA these days.
But yeah, horror. I mean,
try.
But yeah, it's like I'm not like the biggest horror fan myself, but I have like a huge respect for it for like what it does, the atmosphere, the music. I'm kind of a bit of a scaredy cat. Like I do not like jump scares, but yeah, and I just Dave's kind of been doing this. Like, yeah, he was a great writer, but then he got off the cocaine.
Yeah, no junk, no soul.
Okay, yeah. But let's not forget he's the same guy who wrote about children, you know.
Yeah, in it there, yeah.
Yeah, the children having a group session in order to ward it off.
That's no
that doesn't make any sense.
I think Steven, let's just say Steven is letting the pizza through the gate. Let's just put it that way.
Like, I'm all for it's all just, it's not real, so it doesn't hurt anyone. But at the same time, there are some things that really should at least make you, as a person, raise an eyebrow or two.
Yeah.
Go
ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like for me, horror, or at least the genre of horror, never scares me. It's just more interesting. Like it's I wonder who's gonna survive, or like it's almost like a mystery, Because like the only movie that ever gave, like I saw A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, the gay one, and I saw A Nightmare on Elm Street 1 and 3 when I was, in that order. That's why I named them like that. When I was like 5 or 6, maybe 7. But they never really bothered me. I was like, okay, that's kind of weird. The evil guy, whatever. The only movie that ever gave me nightmares, and to this day, it's the only one that ever made me like really have terrors, was the first half hour or 10 minutes of Saving Private Ryan. That's not even a horror movie, and that's the only movie that ever gave me nightmares.
Well, that's just kind of like visceral gore. Yeah, one thing I kind of want to touch upon, since we're kind of on the horror topic, is I find it really interesting. Like, if you look at like the 80s slasher tropes, they're a bit puritanical. Like, in the fact that like, you're having premarital sex. Oh, you're gonna die. And like the final version, it's kind of weird. If you think about it. Like, I don't know. Like, in fact, that people on both sides of the equation, they worship these movies. Yet they're very puritanical. Like, I'm not saying they're right or left leaning, because at the time they might have been more right leaning, but nowadays, with how the left is going, they're more left leaning. So left is even more reason. Freddy Krueger is a trans icon. I'm sorry, but I would not be surprised if some dipshit is trying to pass it off.
You've got people who genuinely believe Pennywise to be a gay icon.
Do you really want him to represent your movement? Please tell me. Do you really want him to represent your movement?
Thanks for making the case easier for the right winger.
So Nix, as our resident monster effer, is Pennywise a monster you would F?
No.
See, even the monster effer wouldn't F Pennywise. This still has standards.
I just want to say though, I'm an adult. My fears are all like, what's that word?
Grounded?
No, my fears are abstract. What's it going to turn into? The fear of disappointing my family? Huh? How do you visualize that?
Yeah. Also, like,
try me, clown.
Can we just say the person who made the scheduling is unfathomably based for doing this? Like that. I'm sorry. The person at Netflix who did that was silently rebelling. Like there is someone who is pissed off at things, and they did that to spite people. Like that was a deliberate move.
Thank you, Hardcore Bunny. That's the word.
The existential.
Yeah.
They're coming to get you, Barbara. Look, that's one right there. Like, here's the other thing. Horror always reflects our modern society, okay? Like in the 50s, you notice how it was alien invasions, a monster attack, a outside entity attacks people, and then we have to unite to fight it. You know, versus the Cold War. In the 2000s, it was the zombies. Like, the reason why zombies were so popular in the 2000s was zombies represented the enemy within. Any one of us could be a terrorist. Any one of us could be a sleeper agent. Like, any one of us at any moment could turn into a zombie, turn against our friends. We could be turned against our will. That is why zombies were so popular during the 2000s. Media always reflects our modern society.
So does that mean that Chainsaw Massacre in the 70s was about how we feared secret cannibals? I mean,
oh my god.
I do, but hey, no, you can't. I had to. Chainsaw Massacre is a masterpiece.
Yeah, it is, but also, sorry, your thing, and then Hardcore Bunny hit upon a good gold vein. But you say your thing first.
Oh, I'm finished.
Oh, okay. I love how the stream became like a horror discussion. I love you guys. This is what Friday Night Freddy's is all about. Just saying that. Also, if you made it this far, please give us a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Just wanted to put that out there.
Your English professor is right. That is what scares us most.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Let's kind of talk about films like Alien, films like Jaws. Do you want to know why those films are still scary? It's because they don't show the monster until the end. Yeah. With Jaws, it was because the mechanical shark wouldn't work. With Alien, it was kind of a deliberate choice. Because if you just look at Alien at the end of the film, it's clear it's a guy in a suit, but by that point you've already bought into the terror, and it's fine. But it's what you don't see that scares you the most. It's why like, you know, those scenes where like they're like someone is hacking someone up, and like all you hear is like the screams, you see like the blood, and the people's reaction to it, and that's like even more terrifying than just seeing the act itself.
Mm-hmm.
It's because what you don't, because and this is a rule of writers. So writers, listen up, eyes wide open. This is something you need to know. What the audience imagines in their head is a million times scarier than anything you could imagine than anything you could create yourself. It's the like I said, it's the unknown.
True.
Vietnam allegory. How so, Daisy and Impaler? Like, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just I need some clarification.
Your thoughts. This is a class. Explain your reasoning.
Yeah, cite your sources. You got some sources to back up that wild claim. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Well, the only exception to that rule has to be Jeepers Creepers, but that's we're not gonna get into that.
Also, like films like the first Scream, where even though it's literally parodying film, it's actually decently scary film in and of itself. Or The Blair Witch is a perfect example of this. Now, granted, The Blair Witch, a lot of it was made off of like The Blair Witch is a film that can't be made today.
They tried.
But like honestly, if you still watch it, even knowing all the stuff, it's still actually kind of scary because a lot of it is off screen, unknown. You don't see the Blair Witch until literally the last frame of the film. So like the Blair Witch Project, the 1999 version, still holds up today. Because do you know how they made that film? So basically, they hired the actors, they put them off in the woods, and they had to hike from campsite to campsite. And each campsite, they'd have instructions. The filmmakers would mess with them throughout the day, and so the reactions a lot of them got were genuine. Like that's kind of the genius of the film. Like, yeah, it was marketed great, but like the making of the film was actually low-key genius.
Yeah.
I've heard good things about Italian horror. What makes it so scary? That's
Suspiria.
But yeah, I think like Nick said, the reason why Japanese horror is so scary is they are a master of mundane horror. Like you said, Nick.
Well, the Japanese, their prescription for horror is not the jump scare, the gore, or the slash. It's the sense of uneasiness. Like that's how a Japanese horror maker or filmmaker instills the horror, is that uneasiness. Like they can show you a relatively mundane scene and slightly tweak the lens, and suddenly it's an unsettling scene.
Yeah.
I loved Ju-on, by the way.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of the times when they remake Japanese horror films, it just doesn't work.
Hardcore boy. Autobots, roll out!
Also, I will say, like, I think black and white does kind of help with the horror genre a little bit. I gotta play this classic scene.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Stop it! You're ignorant.
They're coming for you, Barbara.
Stop it! You're acting like a child.
They're coming for you. Look, there comes one of them now.
He'll hear you.
Here he comes now. I'm getting out of here.
John.
By the way, the reason I can play the whole clip is because this film is literally public domain. I can literally play the whole movie and we'd be fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I like that clip. It's been parodied. Shaun of the Dead parodied it. It's just for me. It's just the way the guy delivers it.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a great commentary on racism too, because like the main hero survives all of the zombie crap just to get taken out at the end by a bunch of hillbillies.
Yeah.
And yeah, like the video game stuff.
He was originally a professor. He had no background in acting.
Oh wow!
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Great job.
Yeah.
I would agree. I mean, those films are made for like a shoestring budget, so.
Oh, I remember the Clock Tower horror video games. That was a
dude. It's actually kind of funny. You literally brought that up. What the hell?
That was a masterwork in like sound editing, like the
oh
audio.
My God. I was literally pulling it up.
Is this the Super Famicom version?
Yeah.
Oh, for PlayStation.
This is scary.
I liked it because it had a mechanic where you had like a fear meter, and the more afraid you were, the more klutzy your character became. So your character became less reliable the more messed up you were. And it was like, oh, this is freaky.
Yeah, and I like that game is really innovative because like there's a scene early on where you find a car and you can just escape because you're supposed to rescue your friends. But if you do, find that Scissorhand is in the back seat. Like it's like a bad ending kind of thing.
Yeah, the game had multiple endings. It did a lot of really great stuff. Actually, kind of sad that they originally didn't come released to the Western audience because
I think the second one. I think the second one was the first one to come to America.
Yeah, and they tried to play it off like, no, this is the first game, but then the second game alludes heavily and is like a continuation of the first game, so that doesn't really work.
Oh man.
The third game, okay, not great. And the fourth game is, I like it, but I know a lot of people didn't.
Yeah, and then I also, who here played Parasite Eve?
Oh yeah, yeah. You ever see the movie?
I haven't.
Yeah, Aya Bray. This was like top-notch graphics for its time.
It still looks good today.
Yeah. The mitochondria.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny that in the promotional material they have her like half naked and then.
All right, that's all I'm gonna play.
Yeah, well, yeah, that happened in the third game, The Last Birthday, where they like totally turned it into like a booby game.
Yeah, sadly.
It was really weird.
It's not even her. It's her. No, screw it. It's a bad game. Nobody's gonna play it.
Has anyone played? Has anyone played Until Dawn? Like, I feel like Until Dawn.
Yes.
Is like it's a really good modern reinterpretation of like not only choose your own adventure games, but also like classic. It's like a classic horror trope kind. It does like the classic slasher tropes. I think it does it really well. I really want to play that game, but it's still locked to the PS4. I know they had like they did The Quarry, which is on everything, but I haven't played that. Yeah, from what I understand, Parasite Eve 2 is okay. And then the third birthday, the less said about that, the better.
Yeah, oh, that's what it was, the third birthday. Yeah. That was just
say about it.
Yeah, it was like, what is I didn't like the second one in the Parasite Eve kind of just became Resident Evil. Like I preferred the first game because it was its own original kind of RPG style thing.
Well, and the best thing about the first game, it's a sequel to the book. Because I actually have the book. Actually, yeah, you didn't know it was based off a book?
Well, I knew that there was a Japanese movie that came out either around or slightly after the video game, and I think that was based off of the book, and it took place in Japan. But and I think they make a reference to that with the Japanese character in the video game.
I don't know.
Kind of sad because I know a lot of people don't really like the movie, but I actually really want to watch it because it looks interesting to me.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah. All right. So this is the original book. Where trying to see here if it actually mentions the video game. Sorry, but like, yeah. So this is a book, and Parasite Eve is a sequel to this book. Like they even reference the book in the game. I think there's actually characters that even show up.
Yeah. Well, there's that nerdy scientist guy.
Fun fact about Resident Evil. Are you guys familiar with the movie Sweet Home?
Yes. Now, do you mean Sweet Home the Korean or Sweet Home the Japanese?
Japanese, the one that became a Famicom game.
Gotcha. Yeah, the investigators go to the house and.
Yeah, and so that was an RPG series. Which, by the way, that game has an amazing soundtrack. First and foremost, Sweet Home is. Did you know Resident Evil was originally supposed to be a remake of Sweet Home for the PlayStation?
Well, they play very similarly.
Yeah, it's very yeah. Sweet Home is the precursor to Resident Evil. Like, there's a fan translation, and Yeah, it's real. It's like it's got like some really gory stuff, and the music is amazing.
Nice. Yeah, that was that a Famicom disc game or a Super Famicom? Because I have it emulated. I just can't remember.
Not sure. But yeah, I really feel like Resident Evil Guide, like if you look at like the battle system for Sweet Home, and then you look at like Resident Evil Gaiden, you can very clearly tell they had the same similar systems.
Yeah.
We're talking about Resident Evil. Can I rant a little about how much I hate the remake and how it screwed over the original 3? Not the remake of Resident Evil 3 remake.
Oh yeah, how it became an action game.
Not just that. Apparently, you can actually really damage the tyrant when it's chasing you with a grenade. You couldn't do that in the original. It made the original so much better because of the technology at the time. Gave them some very clever workarounds. Like, so you know how the toy store or whatever, when you're trapped inside and he's like right after you. In the original, it feels like at any moment he could burst in and wreck your trap.
Yeah.
In the remake, I remember seeing Mark stop, look out the window, and just see the hulking brute just kind of standing there waiting, and he's laughing about it.
He's just staring at me menacingly.
They ruined it. They ruined the game, and everyone's like, "Oh, well, newer technology, it's so much better." Wow, no. That'd be like remaking the first Silent Hill with like no fog and being like, "Wow, it's so much better." No.
Well, here's the thing about
Resident.
Here's the dirty little secret about Resident Evil that no one wants to admit: the tank controls added to the horror.
Oh yeah, it's difficult to control.
Difficult to control, like you have a zombie coming after you, and you're struggling to get your gun up because the controls are so like I don't know if it was intentional, but it was an unintentional benefit. Because you're struggling to get your controls up, you're starting to like try and run away, like move, he's gonna devour me.
Yeah, the only horror game I've ever played where the controls were not an obstacle to add to the horror was the Left 4 Dead series. Because you're basically Rambo in the Left 4 Dead series. You can attack, like you get attacked by things, you can punch them, you got guns and all this stuff. But you get overwhelmed by hordes, and you can get one shot by the special infected.
Yeah,
and it's scary, but it's like when you get caught, you feel like it's your own fault. Like you don't feel like you were fumbling through bad controls. But yeah, Resident Evil, Silent Hill, all of these other games, they make those controls intentionally clunky because they don't want you to engage in combat. It's a survival game. That's why you only have like 6 bullets. It's like, you better use those bullets wisely because you're not supposed to fight. You're supposed to run.
Yeah, like that's why in like the classic Resident Evil games, even your like everything was a limited resource, even your save games, because it like you could literally run out of bullets and have no bullets. Like you can literally ruin your gameplay because you literally run out of bullets.
Yeah, good luck with that boss fight.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or like run out of saves. Like you can literally just be like, "Oh, I have no more saves.
Ribbons." Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the only Resident Evil game I've ever completed was RE2 Remake, and I did it on stream, and I enjoyed it. But I don't know. I feel like Mr. X was done better than Nemesis, maybe because like he was a bit of an unstoppable force.
Yeah, X gonna give it to you.
Oh, I actually modded that song into the game.
Yeah.
I will say mods ruined that game for me a little bit because I had Claire as Supergirl and I had the little girl as like an anime girl. So like
somebody did Mr. X as Thomas the Tank Engine. That was hilarious.
The
door opens up.
I actually modded it for like his footsteps for actual like squeaky sound effects. Like, oh, have you guys ever played Typing of the Dead?
I've heard of it.
Oh yeah, I got that for the Dreamcast. That thing's awesome.
They have it. You can buy it for Steam because, like, I feel like PC is really the only way you can actually play it nowadays because, like, your PC still has
you need a keyboard.
Yeah. But yeah, light gun games. It's a bit of a lost art. Like, I love light gun games, like Time Crisis. Like you said, House of the Dead. So many great games.
Oh yeah. Mad Dog McCree. What was that cop game called? The one that was on like the
Virtual
Saturn?
Cop. Virtual Cop.
Virtual Cop. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm planning on buying the RE4 remake at some point. I'm probably going to play that on stream when it comes close to Halloween. That's something I'm thinking about. Guitar Hero of the Dead.
No, that's a really good idea, dude.
Yes.
You're literally dying on the stage.
No, and the only thing keeping you alive is your sick riffs.
Yeah, and you're basically like shooting out lightning or whatever or something to keep the zombies at bay.
I swear, I've tried so many times when I play a bard in a D&D game. It's like, can I have a magical loot that, like, when I do sick riffs, it shoots thunder? You know, like, just like I beg the DM for like a magical item where it's like an axe, but like it's a guitar as a bard. Like whenever I do a performance, lightning just kind of shoots down. Like, and they say no to me every time.
Oh, clearly not fans of Metallica.
No, fun. Okay, I gotta say, I know like Modern Stranger Things is not good, but like that scene where he's playing Metallica to lure in the monsters, is legit great. Like, I'm sorry, that is so metal. Like that is metal. Like that is like literally like lure it playing Metallica to lure in the demons of hell so that your friends can sneak in. That is as metal as it gets. I'm not sorry. That is metal.
Yeah, I liked that character.
Yeah, supposedly he's going to be in the Fantastic Four.
Yep.
Yeah. Also, sorry, Nick. Go ahead.
Since we were talking about Resident Evil 2, can I just say I hate what they did to Resident Evil 8. Like Resident Evil 7 was such a great step. It was a good step in the right direction, right? They had it. It was scary. You know, it was genuinely unnerving, horrifying at times, and even like the demo and stuff was like really great. But then 8, they decided to go back and kind of tone down all the scares to make it more of an action game because apparently a lot of people didn't like the fact that the horror game was a little scary.
Also, I think like they lean too hard into the big mommy. Like, did you see like the video of the guy who had like the fly swatter and he's like swatting her butt?
No, yeah. In here's the thing though. Oh yeah, was it Lady Dumitrescu? In Resident Evil 7, they had a version of that for the PSVR. That'll freak you the hell out, dude. Like that is probably the best way to play that game.
Yeah.
But like the funny thing about Lady Dimitrescu, she only shows up in the first part of the game, and then she's gone. So like, and the good chunk of the demo, all the advertising was based on her because she ended up being a bit of a breakout character because she was tall and hot and maybe kind of sort of a vampire.
It's like Jeanette and Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. She's literally on the cover, and all everyone talks about the game is Jeanette, and she's really only in like the first act of the game. Like once you finish the first hub world, literally the only thing spoiler alert, if you choose her in the ending, you can go back and have sex with her and lose 1 blood. That is literally the only thing that happens after that.
Yeah, I chose her alternate personality sister, the corporate one. Yeah,
I merge them all the time.
Yeah, that's what, dude. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines it's a travesty how that game was treated because thanks to Valve with the Source engine, it had to get held back. It was a bug-ridden mess when it came out.
I think it was more Activision than Valve, really.
Yeah,
like yes,
whatever.
The thing is, Valve mandated that Half-Life 2 has to come first. So what does Activision do? They release it the same day as Half-Life 2. Literally one of the most important games ever.
But this game, though, was so groundbreaking. You want to talk about horror? Go play the what was it? The hotel with the hotel mission.
Yeah.
Oh my god, my niece loves that mission. That's the only part of the game I will ever let her see, but she thinks it's great.
Yeah. It's amazing. And
it's got and that game has great level design. I love like the storytelling. My favorite is the Gaunt Mansion. Okay. Is you're going through the mansion, you do the audio logs, and you can hear like this descent into madness.
Yeah.
And it's
the
like
human flesh
because he's Malkavian. And his insanity was he didn't think he was insane. You know, and I love that. And I love like the storytelling of these games, like the level design is so amazing. Because it like each level is a story in and of its own right.
Well, that and you mentioned the Malkavian, when you can play as the different clans. I originally went through the game as a Ventru, no, not a Ventru, a Tremere, the Blood Mage guys, and I replayed the game as a Malkavian, and I got a very different experience. Like the dialogue was all different. In fact, the Malkavians actually
with a stop sign.
Yeah, well. Dude, you spill the beans with the dual personalities chick because he's so nuts, or your character's so nuts, they already know.
Daughter of Janus.
Yeah, the two-faced daughter of Janus. And it's like, oh.
And I love how Jeanette actually has unique dialogue for that. Like, she actually gets a bit freaked out because, like, she realized, you know what I'm saying? Like, we actually, like, she's trying not to show it, but, like, there's different dialogue for that. When you do that dialogue option, she gets low-key, like, she gets a little freaked out. Like, she's trying not to show it. But she's a little bit unnerved by it because, you know, but yeah.
And the text is all messed up. And my favorite was there's this black guy that sells weapons out of the boot of his car.
Oh, Fat Larry.
Yeah.
I love
and he's like, what is it? Oh, the ladies call me, but you can call me Fat Larry. Well, that's what he says to like normal people. But when you're a Malkavian, it's like, damn, baby girl, you got some crazy eyes. You better lay off the crack pipe.
But yeah, I am genuinely upset about the Resident Evil 8 thing because you had the best part of the game to me was the castle at the beginning. The village was okay. It's not very interesting, but you've got this tall woman chasing you. She's got giant claws. You literally get your hands ripped off, and then my youngest niece is trying to bypass the other adults and say, Auntie, can I play with the Play-Doh? No. I'm not stupid. I know what that's going to bring.
Yeah, it's the mess.
But anyway, like, and the best part of the game is is that one house with like the giant baby chasing you, the mannequins, all that. That was a proper. Why didn't we get more of that, Capcom?
Yeah, the puppet master.
Yes, that was genuinely freaky, and it was like, oh my god, I see it. It's a proper horror game.
Yeah, there's a giant baby. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great.
Sorry, Nick, you're a bit breaking up a little bit.
Oh yeah. Oh, I thought that was just me.
No, it's okay.
Oh, I said all I need to say. I'm just very disappointed. I'm not mad. I'm disappointed.
But yeah, like I feel like that's kind of a good segue into another topic of like I feel like kind of one of the things ruining hobbies nowadays, like kind of what kind of going off what Dave says, is we have a lot of new people entering hobbies, and they're like for example, I don't know if you've seen like from the convention scene, like they said the conventions after COVID have been a mess because you have these people who got into like anime and geek culture during COVID, and now they're going to cons and they don't respect like con etiquette. Like for example, you know, the whole cosplay is not consent. You know, don't touch a cosplayer without their permission. You got people doing that now. You know.
Oh no.
Chris, come on.
What?
That's a bad thing.
Well, yeah, that's what I said.
sorry. It's just the way you said it. It sounded a bit sarcastic. So I'm sorry. I took it the wrong way.
Oh, that's on you, buddy.
But yeah, it's like, I don't know. Just sorry, Dave and Hardcore Bunny are going at in the comments here. But it's just like, I don't know, Nix, have you noticed stuff like that in the scene?
Yeah, definitely. I haven't attended a con since COVID happened, unfortunately. I've neither the time nor money nor way of getting there. I don't drive. But I have noticed a lot, and I mean like a lot, that a bunch of people came in because of COVID to all these different fandoms, and honestly, I don't want to sound like I'm like some kind of hardcore like gatekeeper or anything, but you can definitely tell that there's kind of, I don't know how to explain it, a new vibe, I guess.
Yeah.
The tourists have arrived.
The tourists have arrived, exactly.
I mean, the tourists have kind of been here for a while, but now they're like, before it was the malicious tourists, you know, like the woke activists, you know, like as you would say, the Marxist infiltration. Now it's just like the normies. Normies are entering, and it's I saw this video. This one black woman was saying like how like the popular people, they always get on the people for doing like the weird crap. Now the popular people are entering the weird kid hobbies and wondering, why are you weird kids doing weird kid things?
Well, yeah, that's the problem with making niche hobbies into mainstream appeal. They've ruined the hobbies. Like everything that I've ever enjoyed has been gone. It went mainstream because it was financially viable to do so. And all these people that came in that were the same people that were like basically giving me crap for when I was into Dungeons and Dragons or into some other geekly thing are now in this hobby, and they want me out because I'm now a white supremacist or whatever, even though I'm Asian and Jewish. So,
Yeah.
So, and this is something that I've been battling, especially in the JoJo fandom as of late, to kids getting into the fandom and having no literacy, like any kind of comprehension whatsoever. This one 17-year-old, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. Trying to reason that one of the biggest, on God, some people legit seem to think of him as the Antichrist, Dio Brando. He's like one of the biggest antagonists in the series. Like almost everything in the series connects back to him up until after part 6. The end of part 6, that kind of all goes away. But one of his biggest defining moments in like the first part of JoJo, as a human, is he forcibly kisses Irina, who is Jonathan's not kind of love interest, absolutely love interest. They get married. But while they're still kind of in that courting phase, he forcibly kisses Irina.
What?
And later on, burns Jonathan's dog, Danny, alive, incinerated. And you've got the 17-year-old arguing that, well, no, Dio, he respects consent, blah, 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 because of this one out-of-touch scene when he's a vampire, that he's clearly manipulating this girl into joining him as a vampire just so he can feed on her or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, you are stupid. You are a stupid, stupid child. You can't trust anything Dio says or does because he's a manipulator.
Yeah.
The rest of the series goes to prove that he doesn't care about consent. He's an evil, evil man. How do you get this far? Yes. We are talking about Dio. I was like, and this kid's trying to like lecture everyone else on media literacy and reading comprehension, blah blah. I'm like, did we see the same show? No, we did not. Like, you must have been on drugs or something while you were watching it.
Yeah.
Well, no, you can't blame the hardcore bunny and the translators because they make it very clear that Dio, like, anything Dio says, like, oh, I won't force my friendship on you to this girl. But, like, that's clearly a manipulation. You can tell it's a manipulation. You watch all the episodes. You watch any one of the episodes, and you know he is the biggest piece of scum on the earth.
Yeah.
So this is clearly just a kid coming into a series they know nothing about and trying to, like, oh yes, this evil, amoral son of a gun. He clearly is all my politics. And it's only ever brought up because well, everyone wants to claim he's gay. He's not. He's bisexual. The creator, Araki, came out and said he's bisexual.
Mm-hmm.
And people, oh, I'm sorry, I just get really heated because it's like, no, the evil man does not care about consent. He is lying to you. You are literally falling for the manipulation. How are you this stupid? Your parents have failed you.
Yeah.
Literally, though. You're trying to, like, grandstand on Twitter. All you're doing is making yourself look like a big idiot.
Yeah, pretty much.
I feel like saying the Joker cares about consent.
Yeah. Well, have you noticed that though? Like all the I mean, not so much in the JoJo fandom, but like, especially here in the West, like that whole demoralization crap where like all of your villains are, I'm sorry, all of your heroes are deconstructed and like they become these flawed monsters. Like you get like Homelander from The Boys and all this stuff. And then all of the villains are now these like sympathetic, like misunderstood, like I may be bad, but I'm not that bad. Like, you know what I mean?
I think the oldest point I could see that though, like back in the 90s, I think it was.
No, real quick, we need a Whiskers break. So Judge Ortis says, "Where's Whiskers? He's right here." He was in my hoodie the whole time. He was just kind of napping. He wants to go back to napping, but we had a request, so
sorry. You guys got chatting a while, and I didn't say anything, and now I'm kind of decided. You know what? I want to say something.
I mean, you're. Oh, he's like, eek a rat. All right. So if you're on the YouTube, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Just gonna remember that. But yeah. Nick's keep going. I gotta pull something up.
I genuinely hate this new trend. Let's try to find sympathy within the villains, especially the villains we know in the series have been claimed as no good, rotten bastards. Why are we doing this?
But it's demoralization.
Yeah.
It's to teach us everything that we thought was good is now bad, and everything that's bad is now good.
Well, here's the thing. You know what? I say to all that, screw it all, you know, because
the game has changed, son of Flynn.
Yes, we are the future, not them. They no longer matter. And on that note, I got some plugging to do, so if you could bear with me. All right. So we're in pre-launch for Turn Samurai Volume 4, and dare I say, it's a doozy. I just posted the link in the chat, so if you could check that out, that would be appreciated. And sign up to be notified when we go live. And we have a teaser. Let's play the teaser real quick, shall we? Yep, there's your teaser for you. Thank you, Nix. And the link is in the chat if you'd like to check it out. And yeah, we're about 2 away from our next goal right here. I just wanted to kind of bring that forward. Inks are done. We are all done with the inks. And then on Monday, I should have page 1. Everything done but the letters. And then we're going to go move forward. We're planning on launching early May. I haven't really decided yet. I'm kind of waiting to see when these files come in. But it's probably going to be in the first 2 weeks of May. So yeah, keep on to that. Lug's coming back to do the trailer, so it's going to be a great trailer. Just wanted to do a little plugging for that real quick.
Nice.
Now back to your regularly scheduled controversy.
So,
Yeah,
I don't know. There's something really concerning about these kids taking irredeemable monsters and trying to not just sympathize, but relate to them and be like, yeah, that's my icon. Like, is that not concerning to other people? Is this something only people like us, we can see? I feel like, as a parent, if I saw my children like, yeah, that guy from that Pennywise from It, the Joker, I really relate to them. I would be so concerned.
I mean, to be fair, Nix, there are people who unironically say the Joker and Harley Quinn are relationship goals.
That is true, but I feel like to a certain extent that only relates to like the Suicide Squad version of them, because it was quote unquote healthier. And there are people actually out there who completely identify with Harley Quinn, and like, yeah, I'm totally Harley Quinn. No, you're not, and it's totally for the best that you're not.
I mean, I can agree. Like, I understand how some women, they see like the abuse angle of the story and like her, like they draw strength from that. I don't see an issue with that. Like, they like Harley Quinn because they can empathize with her story, like as like the domestic abuse angle of it. Like, I think that's why Harley Quinn is so popular with a lot of women, is because of that. And also like the empowerment of it. And she's just kind of an interesting character, to be honest.
She's more or less just Ivy's girlfriend who occasionally helps out Batman.
Yeah.
Well, after listening to Yuri Bezmenov's warning from 1984 in those interviews, where he's talking about how the demoralization process starts, it's disturbing how it fell on deaf ears, because what we just described about why is the Joker this? Why are the villains the good guys? He literally breaks it down why our media is doing this to us.
And I think that's why they fight against new media so hard.
Yeah, exactly.
Independent. It's why it's why they fight against Japanese anime, because anime is something that they can't control. They're trying to, and they've made some inroads, but it's not something they're ever going to be able to wholly control, because Japan is just a totally different culture, and also Japan has a very I think their rejection of woke ideology is even stronger than the rejection in the West. Like, yeah, a lot of Japanese devs who want to appeal to the West have kowtowed, but there's just as much Japanese media that hasn't.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, after they took out Shinzo Abe, like the culture, like they're flooding the country with foreigners. They're destroying Japan. Like, give Japan 5 years and it'll be exactly like how destroyed Europe is.
I don't think so. I don't think so. Because where I disagree is Japanese as a culture, they hate foreigners. Like, Japanese are more racist than Americans, first and foremost.
But you're like,
and they will fight back. They already fight back.
No, they won't. You see, the problem is we're thinking in terms of our generation and older, but the newer generations are being subsumed by garbage demoralization propaganda and diversity is our strength and all these other lies. And it's destroying these countries. Like, this isn't for us. We know the emperor is naked. This is for the future generations that have only known anything but lies fed to them by our propagandists.
And they
will be like, oh yeah.
And this is why our mission is so important.
Yeah, it really is.
Like, we are the replacement media, okay? Like we are the future, not them. They no longer matter. I'm sorry, that's kind of become my rallying cry at this point. Like, you don't like Batman? Read Screecher. You don't like fantasy stories, modern fantasy stories? Read Infinitale Chronicles. Infinitale Chronicles is 10 times better than all the crap Wizards is putting out.
Oh, thanks. Hell yeah.
You know?
I have nothing to show.
There's plenty of It's like you want a real anime girl? Follow Nyx on Twitter. There's a real anime girl.
Hikuzo.
Kawaii.
Yeah.
Nyx, you need to start perfecting your kawaii voice.
I will try.
Man.
But yeah. Also, there's another thing I wanted to share with you guys. So I've been like, you know how I got like that novel that's going to be coming out.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been working with Xevious to create the cover, and I just wanted to show you guys this. So this is a work in progress. All right. So take a look. This is grayscale. This is going to be the final one is going to be in color. By the way, take a look at that.
Nice.
That cover is going to be fire. Oh my god.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
But yeah. I'm sorry I'm not doing the chat. It seems like it's all out of whack at the moment. So, but yeah, like it's like I'm saying. Pulpy, yeah. It's a sci-fi fantasy novel called Lost Kingdom. It's going to be hitting Indiegogo in August. The first draft is already done. I'm just going for editor and print run, really. So yeah, that's what we're going with that. But yeah, I don't know. I like so oh, here we go.
We are the future, Charles, not them. They no longer matter.
For that one, I wanted to play it at least once.
I'm just so sick of all the morally gray. Oh, but it's so much more realistic bullcrap. I don't want realistic superheroes anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I want the superheroes that we're supposed to have.
The Paragons.
The ones who are that don't reflect humanity as it is now, but what humanity could be and should be. The beacons of morality that we once had. The ones who look at us and say, you could be better. And not in this demoralizing way, but in a way that's meant to uplift us and say, hey, no, you could be doing a lot better. But you're getting it. That's okay. You're doing
that's why I actually like kind of enjoy Invincible, because Invincible is like the anti-The Boys. You know, like, I feel like because Invincible is a very is a loving parody. Like, but it's like these heroes are heroes. They want to do the right thing. Like, even the government in Invincible, like, they're shady as shit, but they still kind of want to do the right thing. Like, and like they care about people. Like, that's why I don't know. I feel like Invincible is a really important piece of media.
I don't know how they did it, but they made me like Seth Rogen in that series. Alan the Alien is awesome. Like, I don't like Seth Rogen, but I like that character and I like his portrayal in it.
Like, even their portrayal of Mark Omni-Man, where like they're doing like the sympathetic villain kind of thing, but they're kind of redeeming him. Like, you know. Yeah. I think Q puts it best. Invincible has earnestness.
Yeah. It does. And that's what helps it.
Yeah. Mark is a hero. He's not a morally ambiguous gray, you know, anti-hero, this, whatever. He generally wants to be a good guy.
Real, genuine hero. And the comic.
No. Real American hero.
Here's to you.
Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. People are vintage. Get that joke.
Yeah.
The series has quite a few missteps, both in the comics and in the TV series, but like, it's good. I like Mark. I don't think there's a single thing out there that can make me not like Mark. He's
Yeah.
this genuine kid, and we need that. Oh my gosh, do we need that more than ever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
More Superman-esque stories. Come on, bring
And
back
that's
the
what I think people have kind of latched on to Screecher as much as they have, because Screecher, she's just a woman who she's trying to save her father, and she's trying to do what she can. She's being a hero. She's taking on the path of a hero, not for herself, but for other people, which is what a hero does.
Exactly.
And I think that's kind of like, the costume design is cool. Avery's attractive. Ubisoft will not be making a Screecher game. I'm telling you that right now. If Ubisoft ever emails me asking to make a Screecher game, I'm just gonna respond with no. And you can clip that. So if I ever make a game with Ubisoft, you can shove this in my face. But yeah.
Watch a bunch of animated Superman movies. All-Star probably first.
Yeah. What do you say next?
I said I'm gonna go after this and watch a whole bunch of animated Superman movies.
Go ahead. I don't know. I think the whole evil Superman trope is just so incredibly played out at this point. I'm tired of it.
It's designed to if you have every one of our hobbies, from the mainstream, it's just like befouled or spoiled now. Everything has garbage in it.
I get it. We've talked and this is kind of my mission statement is, we've all analyzed the problem to death over the past 5 years. We all know the problem is, at this point, what's our solution, okay? Because we can say, oh, yeah, demoralization, Marcus infiltration until we're blue in the face. And you're not wrong on it. But my thing is, what are we going to do about it? I'm doing Screecher. I'm doing Torrent Samurai. You're doing Infinite Chronicles. Nyx is cute as hell. We've got the full package here.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, what this does is we're snowflakes or we're raindrops,
Dave,
there'll be more of us.
There'll
be more of us, and I'll tell you right now, with all of the advances in technology and how accessible things are, it's encouraging to see more and more indie people entering these markets and being like, look, we don't want this demoralizing crap. We want heroes again.
We're seeing a parallel economy develop right before our eyes. Okay. Yeah. To where I think in 5 to 10 years, people can make a living off of being a regionally successful comic book creator or regionally successful creator. You don't need to be a creator needs 3 to 500 devoted followers to make a living. Okay. As long as you have that, you can live a decent life and still do what you love. 3 to 500. That's all it takes. Okay. 3 to 500 people who will buy your stuff, love your stuff, and support your stuff. That's all you need. That is obtainable for anyone with the will to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's every time something happens to where the mainstream fails people, a underground scene develops. It happened in the 70s, happened in the 60s, happened in the 80s. Yeah. We are going to see the indie comics boom is just going to get even larger. We're going to see comic books break through to the point where a Screecher movie might happen. Imagine Universal making a Screecher movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's and I see the rejection, and the thing is, all these corporations, they go after money, and the reason they're following the woke shit is because they have been lied and told it makes money, and we're starting to see successes that don't follow the narrative. Look at Sonic, look at Mario, look at a lot of Reacher. There have been these, and a lot of these stuff is failing. The Marvels failed. Like you really think Disney would have made the Netflix stuff canon if they weren't scared shitless about stuff? Like, I'm sorry. Like, they refused to make Netflix canon for the longest time. And when Daredevil first premiered, it was like, oh, he's a variant. You know, like, they were very mum on it. It was only recently that they made the Netflix stuff canon.
Coffin Comics, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, we're seeing this parallel economy develop. People are going to still make their stuff, and it's going to be great. Like, your stuff is going to be successful. Like, by the way, when is the pen and paper Infinitale Chronicle system coming?
Oh, the Infinitale Fantasy role-playing game?
Yeah.
I'm hoping, like, I'm slowly developing it in parallel to the books, but the game will be after the 10th book is released. Because I want to, you know, I have limited resources. You know, it's just me, you know, and however much money I can afford for my art teams to get the books out. But yeah, there's a, like, comic books are a hell of a lot easier to make than a tabletop role-playing game system.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I do a lot of play tests and stuff with some old friends and stuff. I might put some online, or at least some snippets of things. But yeah, it's been nice getting some feedback from some other people that are also developing their own tabletop games. So it's good to be surrounded by people that make that stuff and have them tear into it.
Mm-hmm.
Man. Yeah, fun stuff, you know.
But yeah, it's all about the rights with Disney.
Oh yeah.
But yeah,
that's where Miles Morales comes from.
Yeah, because the Ditko lawsuit. Like, you notice how as soon as they settled the lawsuit, they stopped pushing Miles as much.
Yeah, and well, they started doing the what if Miles was Thor, or like they're like, we've got our token Puerto Rican black guy, like let's put him in something else, and it's like, so you're saying,
I'm sorry,
you're admitting
that whole endeavor was a fishing trip.
It was
like they were trying to see, like, okay, which version. Like, they're trying to see which one might catch on. Like, they wanted their Spider-Gwen. You know, they wanted, like, that character where, and, like, I'm not opposed to Miles. Like, I'm not opposed to him.
Just don't make him Spider-Man.
I just see Miles as the Robin, the Peter Parker's Batman. That's that's how you should do it. And I think when you do it that way, like, he should be Spider-Boy. Make him Spider-Boy. Come on.
Yeah. Well, wasn't he like called Spin at one point? Like they called him Spin, or
like Shadow Spider because of the invisible stuff. Like, come on.
Yeah, like Spider Shock. I don't know, but like
superhero Spider Shock.
But like, yeah, the character Miles itself isn't the problem. The problem is you know, like you said, this was Disney trying to, like, well, we don't want to pay royalties, so we're just gonna replace the Spider. Like, we own the Spider-Man name, but if we can get something that doesn't resemble the likeness or whatever, we don't have to pay the Peter Parker royalties. We can just, you know, have our insert, you know, black Puerto Rican Spider-Man. And it's like, no, like that's a like a disservice to Miles by making him like a hand-me-down character.
Anyone
see, and here's the thing is, with Spider-Gwen, they made her own character. Like, they actually gave her an interesting setting where, like, Peter was her Uncle Ben because of the lizard. You know, like, her outfit is actually really cool. Like, I'm like as soon as that character, every cosplayer, like, she's all over cosplay. Like, you can always tell how popular a character is by going to a Comic-Con and looking at the cosplays.
Yeah, well, from what I recall, that's how Spider-Gwen started. Was they designed the costume first, and then like, yeah, let's make this a character, because like, she had like the ballet slippers, she had the hood.
Oh my god, I just realized that. Holy crap. What the fuck? Jefferson Davis, the president of the Confederacy. Like, what? Like, what the? That is he, like, what, like, I just, like,
and he was a cop.
Deeply loaded name. Oh my.
Oh god. Like, I'm sorry, but like, please tell me somebody in the editing didn't see that and was like, you gotta change that name. Somebody had to have seen that. Like, what the heck? How does that not? Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But I'm telling you, like this summer, there's going to be a lot of Goblin Queens at Comic Cons. Like, because I'm sorry that we Miles Morales just invaded our stream.
Hey, how's it going, man?
We're talking about Miles, and MSK is like, hello, MSK, you want to hop on the stream real quick and tell us how wrong we are? But yeah, we'll probably be wrapping up here shortly. But yeah, this was an interesting stream, if I do say so myself. So yeah, Chris, any final words? Anything you want to show?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Yeah, as mentioned, the Infinitale Chronicles stuff. You can, if you want to check out a epic fantasy saga that's in graphic novel form, head on over to infinitalechronicles.com or on Twitter at Infinitale Comic. And yeah, I'm book 2 is it's gonna be a big one. We're planning on getting it the campaign launched around probably mid to late summer, maybe into September, because September will be my first convention where I got a table in Artist Alley.
Ooh.
And boy, do I have a big plans for that. So yeah, check us out. Thanks, man.
All right, Nix, what do you got to say?
I just want to say, and this is going to be something that I've been thinking about for a while. They literally care so little for Miles that they ended up getting the flag wrong in his home in the second game.
Yeah, he's Cuban.
Yeah. I love how people tried to like justify it, defend it.
Oh, it doesn't valid.
Sorry.
No, that's racist. You're the people.
Yeah, I agree, Dave. Shadow Spider would have been a decent name, honestly.
Yeah.
So thank you everyone for coming out. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Whiskers says hi to you all. Isn't he the cutest? He's the cutest. But yeah, thank you everyone. Make sure to sign up for Twilight Samurai on Indiegogo. We'll be going live next month. It'll be awesome. And yeah, just remember, I can only show you the door. You're the one to walk through it.